What does
5
that
years
mean?
To Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. Wait till you see this lawsuit.
Oh boy.
Ryan Reynolds, for sure.
And people say, well, why are you citing Baldoni's lawsuit, but you're not citing Lively's? Well, it's because I read Lively's and I read Baldoni's, and there's so many things that we've talked about that don't make sense in Lively's, like the stupid birthing claim, the claim that she was shown by Jamie Heath, working for Wayfair, associate and friend of Baldoni's. Heath showed her this unwanted short clip of his wife giving birth, and Lively's complaint literally labels that pornography, literally uses the word pornography. And it's so patently on its face absurd. And you said that was a red flag, a dead giveaway for you, that there was something wrong here.
I mean, when do you see the New York Times, a publication, these are supposed to be investigative journalists, when do you see them at 9:47 at night send an email on a Friday night before a holiday, right before Christmas? They send the email and it warns them that we're coming out with a story that we're going to publish by 12 noon Eastern the next day. So you basically right there have 14 hours to respond to this. If you're not looking at your email at 9:47 at night Eastern time, you might even pass that up until the morning.
Okay, so what do you think about that?
So Brian Friedman is talking about a tactic which I think New York Times has used in the past. Well, I know they've used it in the past with me, is where they essentially tell you, we have reviewed all these text messages, documents, and we've talked to all these people, but we're not going to tell you who we talked to, and we're not going to show you what text messages we have. So pretend you're in the shoes of Baldoni, right? Or you're in my shoes when they were coming after me. So you get this email and you're like, you're calling your lawyer, like, we have to respond right away.
So your hands are tied, basically.
Your hands are basically tied. Within a 9-hour period of time or whatever amount of time you have, there's no way to give them what you need to give them in order to
of course not.
Defend yourself.
Not. Well, let me ask you, what's the point of them? What kind of a game are they trying to play, even giving you a tiny window of time that they know you won't have time to do anything? Is it just so that they can say, it's literally just so that they can say, we checked first.
Yeah.
We gave them an opportunity overnight on a holiday in Baldoni's case.
Yes. Media has certain protections in the US. Like, it's just very difficult the media has protections, and I understand why they have those protections, but those protections can actually really hurt an innocent person as well. And I think people, if this teaches anybody anything, it's that the media has a lot of power, and it's almost impossible to win these defamation cases.
Which is why they're mostly, these types of lawsuits now are mostly used to prove a point or to get that side out to the public and the media, and then they're eventually dropped or settled. You talk about how things are in the United States, and we have all these protections for the media. Well, for everything, there's an upside and a downside. And of course, we all recognize the upsides of free speech, protection of the media, and First Amendment and all that. But the downside is that it's much easier for disreputable, manipulative characters like Lively in this case to get away with or the New York Times to get away with defamation. And one of the cases that I cover, one of the MeToo hoaxes that I've been covering on my channel that a lot of people aren't familiar with, is the hoax against the German band Rammstein and its frontman Till Lindemann. And that's a whole other thing. People can check out my playlist on it. It's really interesting.
No! Oh my God, Till Lindemann wanted to have sex with me? What?
I'm in shock. I'm actually in shock. Brand new bottle of tequila. Just opened it. I have a video of me opening it. It doesn't foam. It doesn't foam. Only whenever that GHB drug is in there mixed with drugs or alcohol, it foams.
Germany, the lead singer of the popular rock band Rammstein is facing allegations of sexual misconduct.
But in Germany, they don't have quite the same protections for the media that we have here. And you can take the media to court for a bullshit story, and they have to prove it to a judge. They have to prove that it's legitimate, or at least that it meets a good standard for possible legitimacy. And if not, that judge says, you're going to take that story down. You're going to issue a retraction. You might even have to pay. I do like that. I know there are downsides to that as well, but there's something to be said for a kind of a system where people have an easier time fighting back when they've been maligned like this.
Yeah, it's a double-edged sword, and it's like, you know, it's when you're the person being attacked by the media, it's just you feel like I remember going into the lawyer's office, and I really liked my lawyer at the time, and he kind of looked at me like, "Man, Ari, you got really messed over here," and like, unfortunately, I don't see a path where you're going to sue the New York Times, right? Like you don't have the money to do it, and even if you did, it's such a long shot that you would win. It's not looking good for Lively, but a lot of people are and I'm sure you experience this when it's like, "Oh, well, you're not listening to women." I just don't understand that perspective. It's like I was a woman and I was attacked by the New York Times because it was woman on woman. Like, then it's okay. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, you know,
this is what they like to throw out there. I'm called an R-word apologist and a woman hater and all of that. And people say, "Oh, you think that every man is innocent because that's all you talk about in your show." Well, it's not all I talk about. And secondly, I self-select MeToo cases that I believe are hoaxes. And there are stupid people who don't have the IQ to understand that concept. So they look at my channel and they look at my work and they see that I'm defending all these different guys that I think are falsely accused of Me Too stuff, and occasionally do defend women also, similar situations. And they say, "Oh, she's just always thinks all men are innocent." It's so stupid. It's so stupid. But I just, you can't worry about the people who are stupid or the detractors or the people who are angry.
In my situation, it's like, it doesn't benefit me to publicly talk about, potentially somebody that's highly connected with Sony, somebody that's highly connected with WME. Like I already had a riff with UTA. So if I ever want to do something in Hollywood, like probably UTA is out right now, and I had a riff with another huge, law firm, or the law firm that represented, New York Times or whatever. Like I already have like riffs that already happened. I don't need to cause more drama for myself in Hollywood or for my career, right? But when I see that like something is happening and I think people need to see the bigger picture, like I'm going to speak out about it because that's what I wish people would have done for me at the moment that it happened. Like there was a lot of people in my life who I still love and care for, but who weren't able to speak up because if they spoke up, they would also be shunned in the industry. Even though my case honestly wasn't like a Me Too situation, that type of thing, but it could have been.
It was a toxic work case. There were allegations of that, and those are very popular now. And of course, that's what we see also, I think is interesting in this Lively situation, is it does cross over from just Me Too to also being about what a work environment should be like. And anyway, there's a whole other conversation I'll get into on my channel sometime about how I think the corporate world has gone way overboard in basically the psychological, emotional sterilization of the workplace, where you feel afraid to even, I was told at my prior job at a university that we could not put a bikini picture or a swimsuit picture from a vacation. Like if I went to Thailand or something and I had a picture of me on the beach with a pina colada, I couldn't put that in my office because it was sexual harassment. It's just insane. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. What's the difference, by the way, between Lively's complaint and Baldoni's lawsuit? And people say, "Well, why are you citing," say this to me, like, "Why are you citing Baldoni's lawsuit, but you're not citing Lively's?" Well, it's because I read Lively's and I read Baldoni's, and there's so many things that we've talked about that don't make sense in Lively's, like the stupid birthing claim, the claim that she was shown by Jamie Heath, working for Wayfair, associate and friend of Baldoni's. Heath showed her this unwanted short clip of his wife giving birth, and Lively's complaint literally labels that pornography, literally uses the word pornography. And it's so patently on its face absurd. And you said that was a red flag, a dead giveaway for you, that there was something wrong here. And so you look at Lively's complaint, and I'm just so impressed by the way that you came forward before anyone and you said, "Hold on, guys, because I see some issues here, and this might be a bad narrative about Baldoni." And really, I didn't feel like there was anyone else who was making that case, and I didn't know what to think of it. And honestly, it wasn't something that I was too interested in at the time. This has really become much more significant now with the legal action that's been taken by both sides. But no, that's really interesting clarification about Friedman. And I think people need to understand that the things that Baldoni may have done, he was doing defensively because they were scared that Blake Lively was going to do what she ended up doing.
Sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megan. Wait till you see this lawsuit.
Oh boy.
Ryan Reynolds, for sure.
Some of the other very sort of blustery language and phrasing that Friedman uses. And here's my question to you. Do you think that is directed more at Lively and Reynolds and their team to as a kind of a power move and to show them we mean business? Or is that directed more to the audience, to us, to people out there to show how emphatically he believes in his case? Why use language like that about obliterating someone? What's he trying to convey there, do you think?
Yeah, probably both. I mean, probably more for a show, though. I'm guessing. Like he wants the soundbite. Of course, he wants the soundbite.
Right.
These people are very, well versed. Although Brian Friedman, I know, like we might not be friends, but like, can we like do something with your camera because it was like blinding me while I was speaking. Can we get you like a little lavalier mic? They're only like $100. Like, let me help you. This is what I do. This is what I do for like the business owners I work with. I like help them get their camera set up. I help them
let me say, Ari, I'm glad you brought this up too, because I wasn't going to say this. It was not top of my list. I have noticed that these lawyers, and there are others out there that I've noticed with this Me Too stuff, whatever side of the aisle they're on, they're getting much more proactive with the PR, but their technical skills are lagging far behind. And, one of these lawyers I was making fun of months ago on my channel because I don't like him because he's repping someone that I think is disreputable and she's running a Me Too hoax on Marilyn Manson. It's a whole other thing. But this lawyer did this big press conference in which he announced all these different lawsuits against the music industry, but the camera was terrible. The AV was terrible. There was this buzzing in the mic that never went away.
You do care about the music. And you do care about the people. You better get in this space. And you better do something like what these survivors have had the courage to do.
We're going to talk to you about the most urgent thing that is on our mind, and what we suspect is the most urgent thing on the minds of those who will connect with us.
And I'm thinking, dude, you're worth millions of dollars. You spent all of this time and effort to get this whole thing rolled out, and you can't get some like decent tech guy or lady.
Well, this is what I think happened. I think that when social media like became, front and center, you had these sort of like old school PR firms that have been around forever, or like they're very connected in these worlds. So let's just say like there's 10 PR firms that like work with all the law firms, or they work with all the Hollywood people or whatever. When social media came, those PR firms are like, oh, we do social media too. And so, they just say they do it, but then they don't really have anybody that has experience with, let's say, creating the content and all that stuff. And so, they're lacking that stuff. And where I think it's very interesting, and not to shade like PR people, but it's like PR people, stay in your lane. Like, let me do my thing because it's very different. The PR people themselves, they don't have any, like if you go on, I think it's like, I don't know if it's the Jones one or Tag. It's like a black website with like some text on it. They don't have a public profile themselves. So, I know very well because I've been doing like reputation management and SEO for years, like, even like 2010. What I know is if somebody says something negative about you and that's the only thing about you that's on the internet, then that's what's going to rank first. So like your best bet is to have podcasts that are up there. Like I remember when they attacked me in the New York Times, at least I had a lot of content where I was talking about, kind of like same with like Baldoni, right? He has content that's out there that talks about what he cares about, his life experiences, all that stuff.